Hello and welcome to another practical. Today we will talk about fighting against multiboxers. I will talk about how multiboxing packs work and what you can potentially do against them as a solo pilot. First, let's talk about how multiboxing packs work. So in the majority of situations in faction warfare, you will see drone multiboxing packs because they are the easiest to control. Drone multiboxing packs work this way. You have one ship, what I will call trigger, and all our ships have the drones assigned to the trigger. The trigger ship usually has propulsion module, tackle, some control, and once this ship aggresses on you, drones from all our ship also aggress to you. So what you can do against these drone packs? You can do one of two things. First, you can either shoot one of the ships, or you can shoot drones and clear DPS. Let's talk about the first tactic, shooting the ship. Which ship do you actually want to shoot? Because all of them will have the same type. If you fight in small complexes, it usually will be Algases. And if you fight in medium complexes, it often will be Vexers. You need to shoot the trigger. In general, in these multiboxing packs, all the auxiliary ships will just have full tank. Sometimes people don't even fit propulsion modules on them, so it's just brick tank and maximum damage. And you don't want to shoot these targets. But trigger usually has normal looking feet, and this is the feet with the lowest number of hit points. I want to stress that it does not really work like this in fleet PvP, but in these specific situations, trigger ships are usually the least tanky. Okay, so how do you identify a trigger ship then? You identify the trigger ship by looking who locked you first. And the ship that locked you first, and usually it will actually be the only ship that locks you, is the trigger ship. So in this case, you can see that this guy is the trigger, and all ours are auxiliary ships for DPS. And first thing what you do is that you put your DPS, in this case my DPS is drones, on the trigger ship. Okay, so this is done. You identify the trigger and you put DPS on the trigger. Next trick, you need to be very careful. In situations like this, so I triggered against a multiboxing August pack, the good math to remember is that tanking 5 Algases is impossible in anything. Tanking 4 Algases is very difficult and you need to have some piloting on top of a very decent tank. And tanking 3 Algases is realistic. So when you fight against 5 Algases, you essentially need to mitigate very heavily. And in this specific situation, the multiboxing pack aggresses my drones first, and it's not what I want, because obviously they will kill all of my drones long before I will deal with a trigger. So I need to aggress all of the drones on my ship. This is why I move closer and start tackling and shooting the trigger with my guns. Basically saying, hey, can you please aggress your drones on my ship instead of on my drones? And this is what he does. So all the drones start chasing me, you can see it. Next, since I'm fighting against 5 Algases, I cannot tank all of this. It's very important not to turn, because when you turn, you lose your speed and then the alpha from drones just lands on you. The best way to handle this is to just burn in the straight line while being aligned somewhere. This way, even if you get some nasty crits, you can practically always warp out immediately. And after that, you start shooting the drones. So here I aggressed all of the drones on my ship, and then I just align. I keep my drones on the trigger in this situation because I know that while all of his drones on my ship, nobody shoots my drones, and my drones shoots his ship. So it makes sense for me to just keep the drones on the trigger and kind of distract all of the DPS with my ship. If you are flying a turret-based ship, in this case you obviously cannot DPS the trigger, and you need to shoot drones. But in this case, I can just leave the DPS on the trigger ship and tank with my main ship. If you are flying with someone else, dealing with multiboxers becomes pretty simple because one of your ships simply distracts all of the drones somewhere, and then your body just kills the trigger. But since you're solo, it's not possible. So you just stay aligned. As I said, against 5 Algoses, it's not really realistic. You can see that I already used my ADC and I'm still dropping into a hole. So you just warp out. Another important trick is obviously don't feed. Easy kills, because these guys fly completely disposable Algoses, and it really does not make sense to feed your potentially expensive solo PvP ship into a bunch of multiboxers. So when you feel like you are low enough, just warp out. Okay, I will show you a couple more clips as well against the August multiboxing packs. Okay, so another clip. Here I am far enough away so that multiboxing pack cannot actually aggress drones on me, but I'm a bit too far away to DPS, to put any DPS. And the problem is, if I move close enough to put DPS on the multiboxing pack, I will be close enough for multiboxing pack to aggress drones on me. The good thing is, it's pretty obvious who is the trigger in this case. You can see these algos burning towards me, and everyone else is just kind of aligned or anchored on these algos. So I know who I need to shoot. In this situation, I fly the Hawk, so I cannot just drop drones and then bail somewhere. I actually need to be in range. And in this situation, you see what kind of DPS I am going to get. And when, if you see that it's a bit too much, you just, warp out. Here I'm a bit too slow, to be honest. I should have been aligned even before that. And I almost lost my ship, because you get a couple of wrecks, a couple of crits, and this is what happens. Okay, and I will show you one last clip on this. Okay, the final clip I wanted to show you is Nergal against 4 Algoses. Well, it was against 5 Algoses, but I just killed one, and I think I accidentally just killed the trigger, actually. Because now you can see that he has to aggress his Algoses one by one. So one, then another one, and then another one by one. So probably I killed the trigger. As I mentioned before, when you have 4 Algoses, it's sort of doable, but you still have to be very careful. In this case, I'm flying the tankiest assault frigate in the game, so I know that I can tank for a while, and I decide to just commit on one of the ships, because I know that once I'm down to 3 Algoses, this should be a fairly easy way. to the grid control. So here I think it was possible to just stay committed on one of the ships and just face tank the remaining damage. But I just decided to play it safe. Remember the rule, don't feed. You are flying 300 to 400 million solar frigate against a bunch of throwaway Algases. The last thing you wanna do is to feed your very expensive ship to a bunch of multiboxing Algases. So I just decided to play it safe since I was very low, as you can see on my armor. I decided to just burn away, clear some of the DPS, repair my armor back up, and then recommit. And I will just go further. I'm surprised that he did not warp out actually, because with 3 Algases there is really not that much you can do. So I picked another Algas, and after that he finally left the grid. Okay, so remember these rules or hints that I mentioned in this video. The main thing to remember, I guess, is that multiboxers can actually very rarely kill you because their control is pretty poor. So you can always poke and then see what happens. Important to be patient, because in many cases you will not be able to get anything out of these fights, but in some cases you will be able to get a bunch of kills. And also remember about the math. 5 multiboxers are very difficult to deal with. 4 is difficult but manageable, and 3 is definitely manageable for a solo pilot. Okay, I hope you found it useful, and I will see you in the next practicals.